Hello, welcome back to COVID Cooking. The cold weather has moved into Central Florida, so it's like 70. We're freezing. So with cold weather comes soup. It's soup time. So we are making New England clam chowder as usual, and as always, we're making my version of New England clam chowder. So while we're doing that, we are drinking the Tamarack Cellars Chardonnay. Tamarack is from Columbia Valley. It's housed in an old firehouse in Walla Walla. So, like most Chardonnays from Washington, it's got a lot of apple to it. It's good. It's 20 bucks-ish. Good stuff. Yeah, it was a little tannic out of the bottle, but now it's calmed down. So, clams, absolutely critical to get the juice out of the clams. So we want to use the clams and the juice. The juice is going to make the base of the soup. So, quick rundown. I'm going to steam these. Doesn't take long, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And then I'm going to use the juice for the base. And then I'll cool these off and pull the clams. Clams don't go in until the end. If you put them in before that, they get real chewy. So, come on around. In here I've got some of that Tamarack Chardonnay and a couple of cloves of garlic and some parsley. The clams have been rinsed very well. You want to try to make sure you get all the sand. Okay. Here's that. That's not going to take too long. So now in this pan, and I'm doing it in a shallow pan so that you can see it better. I'm going to render the bacon out. I use celery and onions and potatoes. The potatoes will go in after the celery and the onions. Celery and onions are going to go, put the bacon in, that'll render some fat. I'll add some butter to that with the celery and onions, and then put some flour in, make a roux, and we'll go from there. I could have used more bacon, but I didn't. You can relax this, it'll take a few minutes. Okay, you can see the clams. What I'm doing is, as soon as they pop open, I'm pulling them out because they're done. I don't want to overcook them. So, yes, it's sort of one at a time, but that's okay. Now the bacon, ordinarily, under almost all circumstances, I'm going to cook bacon until it's really crisp. This is not one of those occasions. Now if you want your bacon really crisp in the chowder, then cook it down until it's crisp and then pull it out while you make the rest. But so this is about as crisp as I'm going to get it. Now, onions and the celery go in. Ordinarily, I would never use raw garlic in a chowder. This, however, is not raw garlic, it's garlic cold cheese. So I am going to put a little bit of that in there because it's very mild. I'm going to run out of bowl here. So then while the clams cool down, I can use this stock, the clam juice, as stock for that chowder. Now, this of course is the hard way, but the best way. If you should choose to cheat, and by all means, cheat. Clam juice and chopped clams, perfectly fine. I'm actually going to add some of this in because I like a lot of clams in my clam chowder. So those are going to go in at the end. Now, if all the clams have opened, and there's one that doesn't want to, probably means it's bad. So we're going to throw that one out. Oops. So I want to cook these until they're translucent. We got another minute or two on that. And then I'll put butter in it because we got the fat from the bacon, but we need a little bit more fat to make the roux. Now there's a couple different kinds of chowder. There's that red stuff that, I don't know what it is, but it's not clam chowder. It's red soup with clams in it. Most of New England makes the same kind of clam chowder, which is the one I'm making here. It's creamy, a lot of cream. In Rhode Island, they make it with very little cream, a lot of stock, but not a lot of cream. So that's the way you want to go. If for some reason you're worried about your cream intake, you can go that way. All right, so now these guys are sauteed down a bit. We're going to add flour to make our roux. I like my clam chowder probably thicker than most people do. A lot of places like in Maine and stuff, they won't thicken it at all. They'll just put cream and then that's it. It's as thick as it's going to get. I like it thicker than that. So I'm making a roux, so you can see now that I've got about the right consistency with the roux between the flour and the fat. So I'm gonna cook this for a minute or so, but not more than that, because I don't want to brown the roux, because then I get brown soup. So that means that the flour is not really cooked out in this, and that's okay, because I'm going to cook this soup for a good hour, and that'll cook the flour out. You don't want to just dump all that liquid in there, because then you'll have lumps. You got to be careful, because there's probably some sand in the bottom of this pan. And shells. Storing. Okay. At this point I can go for it, because I've got enough liquid incorporated in with the roux that if it hasn't lumped up by now, it's not gonna. I have also used chicken stock instead of this. Obviously the flavor is different, but it gives it more of a buttery flavor, and I kind of like it. But then I like chicken stock in just about everything. Okay, so this is going to simmer for at least 45 minutes. Got to cook all that flour out, cook the veggies down, make sure you get all those flavors out of them. And then, so I'm going to turn this down. So that's going to cook for an hour. When we come back, I'm going to add the potatoes in. I have the potatoes cut small. And I'm using gold potatoes because I like, if you use russet potatoes, they want to, once they're completely cooked, they want to go to mush. These will hold their shape better, and that's what I want. So we'll put these in about 10 minutes before the end, and then the clams right at the end. So we'll be back in a few. While you were gone, I was cheating. I added thyme, which goes really well with this, but you want to put it in early because it's dry and you need to let it cook out. It was also a little thick, so I put some water and I put a little bit of chicken base in there because I really like chicken base. So now it's been cooking about 45 minutes. About 10 minutes ago I put the potatoes in, and they are just getting done right now. So we're going to put in half and half. We're going to put in the clams, and we're going to put in black pepper. As with everything, you want to have a balance on your taste buds. So this dish is pretty heavy right now. It's got bacon, it's got the flour and the butter and potatoes. So what's going to brighten this up is actually the clams, because there's a bit of acid in there, and black pepper. Now if you want to stand there and grind black pepper for 10 minutes, you go for it. I'm going to use this. I'm also going to put a little parsley in there. So right now that 5 pounds of little necks, that's what I got. So I shucked them and then I rinsed them. It's a bit blasphemous to rinse shellfish, but I've already cooked them. I've already gotten the flavor out of them, so I'm not worried about losing the flavor. And they're small enough that I'm not going to chop them up. So these clams are all already cooked. They don't need to cook anymore at all. They just need to be warmed up. I've seen clam chowder recipes where people put the clams in at the beginning with the onions and the celery and stuff. Totally do not get it. You need to be pretty heavy-handed with the black pepper because, like I said, that's what's going to brighten this dish up. And I use half and half instead of heavy cream because it's pretty thick as it is. I've already tasted this before I put the cream in, and it doesn't need salt. Part of that is a little bit of chicken base I put in there. Part of that is the saltiness of the bacon, saltiness of the clams. So, we are pretty much done. Let this come up to temp. I'm also putting some chopped parsley in it, Italian parsley. I'm a big fan of Italian parsley. I put it on everything, but once again, that's going to help to brighten this dish up, give it a little edge. We have a loaf of Tuscan garlic. What is this? Roasted garlic loaf, Tuscan roasted garlic loaf. So I really like something like this that's artisan, it's sort of heavy duty. We're gonna pop this in the toaster oven and warm it up and then just tear chunks off and slather them with butter. And it's gonna go great with this and our tamarack Chardonnay. So I'm going to put a little bit in. Stir it up. Yeah, that's good. So here we have Grumpy's Clam Chowder. I hope you enjoy it. I'll put the recipe up on Facebook. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you next time.